Our next guest has been in the room where it happened for some of the most important moments in U.S. history, making decisions on September 11th and the years that followed, first as National Security Advisor and then Secretary of State. Now Condoleezza Rice is teaching the next generation as Director of Stanford University's Hoover Institution. She's also the keynote speaker tonight at the Al Smith dinner, and she's joining us right now. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Secretary, nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I know you gave me permission to call you Condi.
I did.
So are we a little nervous about the Al Smith dinner because it's the who's who in the political world and in the New York movers and shakers?
Well, the part that's making me nervous is I have to say some things that are funny, and I'm not really funny, so I'm looking forward to the dinner. Well, I'll be glad when the jokes are over.
I know. So did you come up with anything? What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's going to be okay. You know, the key is to be just at the edge enough, but not too much over the edge. So hopefully I'll strike the right balance.
I'm sure you will. And Cardinal Dolan is always such a great master of ceremonies.
Absolutely.
And host.
And it's such a wonderful cause. The Al Smith Foundation has just done so many amazing things.
It kind of fits in your wheelhouse because education is involved, raising money to send kids to Catholic schools in the area who normally would not have that opportunity.
Absolutely,
and right now you're at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University talking about education. Where do you see it going in the country?
Well, I'm a huge advocate for education as the way out for so many people. I'm very fortunate. My parents were teachers, and so education was, I always said in my little town of Birmingham, Alabama, it was faith, family, and education. And so I try very hard to make sure that we're giving educational opportunity to other kids. And these days we have a real challenge in K-12 education. It really isn't benefiting the kids who need it most. And I will tell you, I think that COVID has really exposed even deeper fissures in educational opportunity, because I was homeschooled for a year because the state of Alabama, in its wisdom, decided that if you were not 6 by October 31st, you couldn't go to school that year. Well, if you think my parents were going to let me stay home, my mother took a year off. She homeschooled me.
Wow.
By the time she finished, I was 3rd or 4th grade. But now fast forward to the parent who probably doesn't even speak the language, and that child has had a lot of learning loss. So I would have preferred that early on teachers declared themselves essential and that we got back into the classroom as soon as possible. But I think now we've got a lot to make up. And we're also at Hoover working on important issues like charter schools and school choice. And
are you in favor of charter schools?
I am. I'm in favor of charter schools. I'm in favor of vouchers, because the truth of the matter is we have a choice system. If you are of means, you will move to a district where the schools are good and the houses are expensive. If you are really of means, you'll send your kids to private school. So who's trapped in failing neighborhood schools? Poor kids.
In New York City, our mayor has a few more weeks left before he finds another opportunity, and he wants to get rid of the gifted and talented program in our area. How do you feel about that? Because some parents are very, very upset.
I'm in favor of gifted and talented programs. I'm in favor of it because it's fair to children who might have special capabilities, special gifts, but we can also give every child a chance to show that they are gifted and talented. I know there are people who worry that children of color, for instance, don't seem to be underrepresented in these programs. But the answer isn't to make it unavailable to other children. It's to find a way to bring more kids into these programs who come from different backgrounds.
A lot has been talked about with critical race theory in schools. Should it be taught, and at what level?
It isn't a question of saying that race isn't a factor in the United States. Of course it's a factor. I grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. I know that it's a factor. But it's not everything. And the problem with the way that critical race theory is sometimes taught, out of its kind of academic confines, is race becomes everything. I don't want children, black children or white children, to define themselves simply by the color of their skin. I would like them to have an opportunity to know the difficulties of our history, the birth defect of slavery, all of that, but without it somehow dividing our kids.
Speaking of President Biden, as you know, his approval ratings are not great.
Yeah.
Some people are wondering, is he the great, you know, at one point he was talking about being the unifier. Yeah. Is he?
Well, I've known him for a lot of years, and he certainly had a reputation of being able to work across the aisle. I hope that he'll take up a more unifying message. From time to time, you get some flashes of it, like with the bipartisan infrastructure bill, but then you get messages out of the White House, well, but we are ultimately going to do what we have to do. He is somebody who has shown that he can do it. Let's see it again. I'd like to see more of it.
How about his COVID rollout right now? Because a lot of people feel there's mixed messages, mandates, no mandates, masks. Yeah. It's confusing people and frustrating some.
It is, but here I'm a little bit more empathetic, because when you're in these crisis situations, it's sort of hard to sometimes get the message exactly right, particularly because the science is moving. Questions about what vaccines need to be boosted and among who, and what's the role of masks. I understand that it can become kind of complicated, but I do think that what I would like to see from all of us is a little bit more empathy for each other as we work through these difficult issues.
You worked with General Colin Powell, yes, and he has passed.
Yes.
What will you remember most about your time with him?
I will remember that Colin Powell believed in America. He didn't see it as kind of rose-colored glasses, but he saw his story. You know, a kid from the South Bronx who was the child of immigrants, who, as he would be the first to say, wandered the wilderness a bit until the military kind of put him into shape, and then went on not to an Ivy, not to a military academy, but to the city university. He saw himself as an American story, and I saw him and see him as an American story. A great patriot, a tremendous statesman, and a really, really good friend. You know, because he was such a booming figure, but maybe people don't realize how much he was a great mentor, a great advocate for young people, for young soldiers, for young people at his school at City. Just a gem of a human being.
So, speaking of the White House, would you ever consider a run?
No.
Come on, think about it.
No. You have to know your DNA, all right? My DNA is not politics. I love policy, but I had an up-close personal look at the campaign trail when I was with the then Governor George W. Bush. There's something a little different about the people who run for office. They somehow feel energy from it. It's just not me, but I'll keep doing policy and I'll keep doing public service. And one of the reasons that I wanted to go back to become director of the Hoover Institution is I really believe that we have some big problems that require better answers than we're getting.
So nice talking to you. I could spend my whole day with you. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Condi now. We're friends.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck tonight.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
So tonight, it's the big night. It's the 75th annual Alfred E. Smith Memorial Dinner. It has raised millions of dollars for children's charities, and Condoleezza Rice, Condi, is the keynote speaker tonight. Pressure is on. I'm sure she's going to do great.
Wow, what an incredibly gifted woman.
Yes.
Just so, wow. You could seriously talk to her all day.
I know. I enjoyed it.